He doesn't, I've never known him to. He's a great guy, nice guy, and he's nice to even shitheads, right? So that's the difference between him and that's the difference between him and me. I'm not nice to shitheads, but he is, but he's also genuine. I think he genuinely likes.
Does that make you a shithead too, Steve?
It probably does. I mean, I don't mind when people call me an asshole. I mean, it doesn't bother me. At least they're talking about me, right?
I'm now really glad that in the promotion email and everything, we did add the part "you've been warned." Because somebody coming into this right now is like, oh, man, how many cuss words can they drop right in the first 20 seconds?
Well, it's funny. We were talking, me and Alex were talking yesterday, and we were talking about you, Steve. And I was like, I did not like that guy the first time I met him. You were an asshole. Yeah, and I don't know if it was just the company we were around. I think it was a dinner in Vegas like 10 years ago or something. And you were with... Yep. What group you were with? What, Van Tile?
I was with Asbury.
Asbury, yeah, Asbury. And I was like, what an asshole! And then I realized, oh, he's got the same sense of humor as I do.
Yep.
I was like, I wonder if I come off like an asshole.
No, and I liked you right away because everybody can hear us because you weren't everybody else. How about that? I don't know. I don't want to say that.
Okay.
But so most people when they meet me, they tell me later, when I first met you, I didn't like you. So
yeah,
I have a very hateable face. That's why I'm glad you did use my second grade picture there. That is second grade Steve. That would be 1970. That's how old that picture is.
Nice.
And
I didn't realize you were that old of a fart.
I know. Yeah, I'll be 58 this year. That picture proves that I had one of my adult teeth in second grade.
Way early.
But just one. You can't. It's hard to see.
I thought you stuck a chiclet in there.
I could spit a watermelon seed about 50 feet back then. So luckily when the other adult tooth came in, they came in close together. So.
All right, 10 seconds. And 3. All right, we are on now, although everyone got a good taste of how Steve grew and how old he was. And actually, when I say I didn't realize you were that old of a fart, that's a compliment.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. It hurt me when I wanted to buy beer at 18, because that was the age back then. But I think I got carded up until I was about 35. I mean, carded on a regular basis, not, the way they card you at an airport bar where they card everybody, but truly carded legitimately until I was about 35.
Young face.
So good.
Well, that handles the first comment. So it was from Christine. Are we going to talk about that picture? Check.
Check.
Yep.
Done.
So what's been going on in Steve's world? We haven't had you on the show for quite some time. How you holding the fort down?
Doing well. It's trying times make my services more valuable, I guess. I don't want dealers to have trying times, but it's ever changing, as you know. And what we knew last week is a little bit different this week, and next week it's going to be a little bit different again. And so. Just helping dealers navigate all that. One of the major changes that have happened is I branched into doing more fixed operations just by default, where dealers who were cruising along with their fixed ops, and then COVID hit, and they kind of had to rethink a lot of their strategies. So I've been learning as much as I've been teaching around fixed ops.
It's funny you mentioned that. As you're saying it, it just occurs to me that even the consultants have had to relearn things in all of this. We all have, obviously, but Jennifer Suzuki been getting a lot closer to this year since COVID hit, and working with her on a couple of things, and she's had to retune her messaging a bit as well.
Yeah, I do question the consultants, trainers, whatever, who are still running the same playbook that they published in 2010 or 2000, and some published in 1970 for that matter. There are a lot of things we can use today that we learned back then, but I can't even teach stuff that I was teaching in 2014. It just wouldn't fit with today's consumer, and that's has nothing to do with COVID. It just it has more to do with information. Everybody knows everything by the time they reach out, by the time they send in a lead, walk on the lot, whatever. And so a lot of those road to the sales steps, things like that, those have had to change, and they're getting shorter and shorter.
What are some of the strategies you've focused on with dealerships within the service area?
Well, it started with service BDC because I was training so many sales BDCs, and so that was a big piece. And then now I'm working with some dealers on CSI. I'm working with some dealers on their marketing side. Fixed operations was a place where dealers were just throwing thousands and thousands of dollars at Google, and it just doesn't ROI. You can't do a $29.99 oil change on a pay-per-click campaign and expect it to have a decent ROI. Not if you're a dealer. I mean, if you're Jiffy Lube, you can probably get away with it because you're going to service every make and model, but most dealers don't want to service every make and model. So just kind of fine-tuning where their marketing is going, what they're doing with it. The pieces that work, hitting, not blasting your entire database, for example, with an oil change special. And I just got my oil change yesterday, for double that price. Hey, thanks a lot, Mr. Dealer. So things along those lines.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of
and even the email marketing, right? I bought a car yesterday, and then you send me something where I can get an extra $2,000 off. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fun. But speaking of paid search, have you watched the performance change of late?
How so?
Just overall, has it gotten more expensive? Has it remained constant on the conversions? Or have things changed since the summer?
So two big changes, one with Google and one with Facebook. I'll start with Facebook. Facebook has gotten less effective because it's been getting more crowded, and their targeting isn't as strong as it used to be. The auto shopper data is still very good, and Facebook is still where I would spend the bulk of my digital marketing dollars. But it has changed because, as more people, if every dealer in your market is advertising on Facebook, then you're going to run into competition, and it's going to drive the price up. For Google, the biggest change I've seen, besides the change they made where you can't target by zip code anymore, and I think that's what led to this change, is my dealers are seeing way more competition for Ford dealer Dallas, right? Or, put in the OEM plus the city name or the region. Those costs per click have just been skyrocketing, from where I might have had a semi-rural dealer who could buy his town plus the word Ford for $1.87 a year ago. He's paying $5 a click now. And obviously in major metros, it's even more. So Google has become less effective. What's that?
What's caused that?
I think it's mostly it's because of competition, right? And it all started, two things. One, not targeting by zip code means now I have a radius. So all of these different radiuses are going on top of each other, where maybe I used to target my PMA plus, I was really competitive in this other dealer's PMA, so I could target here and here. Now I'm targeting a radius, and he's targeting a radius, and she's targeting a radius, and it's all overlapping. I think, and that's just empirical. I don't have data beyond my own, what I've seen. That, and then coming out of COVID, I think that when you look at what the buyer keywords are, right, those lower funnel keywords, it's city name plus the OEM. I'm not looking, if I'm looking for Ford dealer Dallas, guess what I want to do, right? I want to service my Ford, or I want to buy a Ford. So, those are low funnel keywords that have gotten really expensive.
Can I throw another layer on top of the reasoning?
Yeah, please.
So with COVID, the advertising sources for a lot of major companies went out the window with sports being canceled. So a lot of those ad budgets that used to go to TV are now being put on Facebook and Google and other digital media, and that
great point
is driving things up too.
Yeah, and I'm seeing an increase. It was always bad with, especially Ford was kind of the worst, but all the OEMs compete with their dealers. They're all three tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all buying the same keywords. And now that you mention it, those dollars that they would have spent, in mass market and broadcast, they're now spent on Google, and so there's even more competition. Every Ford dealer is buying the word Ford. All the tier 2s are buying the word Ford, and Ford is buying the word Ford, and they're all just driving that up. Nobody's buying Chevy Silverado except all three tiers over at Chevy.
Yep.
When you run into that, do you suggest the dealerships cut back on those keywords?
At
all, or what?
We look at it on a keyword by keyword basis, or groups of keywords, and we want to make sure that their campaigns are set up properly so that they're bucketed. I like buckets. I call them buckets, but I want my new car conquest bucket to be different than my new car, say, brand bucket. So maybe we'll move money out of the Ford bucket into the conquest bucket, where we'll start bidding on Chevy Silverado and other things where we might be able to pull that customer in. But if I could control all three tiers, I would have Ford.com buying Chevy Silverado keywords, because they could show a great comparison. And nothing against Chevy Silverado, I just have to pick Ford, but they could show a great comparison between the F-150 and the Silverado, and then have customers build and price and generate a lead that way. And that's a lot more efficient than a Ford dealer buying Chevy Silverado keywords. So, but unfortunately, I don't have control over tiers 1 or tier 2.
No,
I'm not sure they do either.
Now, since you've been
too much of those are profit centers for those guys. For almost every OEM, that digital team is a profit center, and especially the ones that do co-op, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coming over to the service side, have you? This is just out of curiosity. Have you dabbled into the parts and online parts business?
We have looked at it again and again, starting in, I want to say 2008 or 7 when I was with Asbury. We had a couple of our regions create these national parts sites, and we were running a lot of digital to drive eyeballs there. And it turned out, I think, and I'll misquote the numbers, but it was around $180 to $240 cost per order on that. And when you think about, some of those orders are 4 spark plugs, it just didn't ROI. And so there's just not a lot you can. You've got to have a great parts operation that can ship quickly, that can compete with O'Reilly and all the others that are overnight shipping or 2-day shipping. It's really best when you do your stuff grassroots, at least if you're not in a major metro, right, where you make sure that everybody, all your wholesale customers know who you are, and they know to come to you first and treat them right and do that. And I don't know how much growth there is for dealers in that realm.
The best parts department for online capabilities that I ever saw was when the parts manager, I believe it was a Ganley Honda, got into the S2000 scene and really concentrated just on that one model and stocked all the parts, and then made them available through the forums and had group buys and all kinds of stuff like that, and then built an online store. So if you wanted an OEM S2000 part, they were the ones to go to. And this is many years ago. I don't know if they're still active in that, but that could be another route. It's just pick a model you're passionate about as a parts manager. And
Well, until you've got to have the right person behind that to steer something like that. I mean, that takes a lot of time.
That's the case with everything,
dedication.
right?
Yeah,
it always boils down to having the right person.
Well,
I mean, you can create an Amazon store, of course, and do some things, but because you're a middleman, you're not producing these parts. Your margins are going to be really slim if to none, or you just won't sell anything. But yeah, getting involved in the forums, and especially if if you're a Jeep dealer or Ford dealer with the Mustang, that kind of thing, you can do some pretty cool stuff. The other one, and again, this takes people, but I've seen dealers make a lot of money with obsolete parts on eBay. So they've got, all of these special order parts that they never sent back, that were never picked up or whatever. And then they also have a bunch of obsolete parts, and just controlling that inventory. The key, though, is controlling it, right? Because otherwise you get some unscrupulous employee who puts it on eBay, but on his own account and not on yours. But I've seen dealers, clean up an attic, the walkway above the parts department, and, bring tens of thousands to the bottom line and really clean it out. 3 months. So
it's also surprising.
A ton there for a dealer.
We just signed up with the group here. Just signed up with Revolution Parts, and that's one of the focuses. Is the there's a term for those extra parts or whatever they call it, but that's one of the key focuses is getting rid of those special order parts that we are still hanging around.
Yep. There's some gems out there too. So I've got I've got an F350 2005 that's getting close to 200,000 miles on it, and I need to replace the oh shit bar in it, and the only way you can find them is through junkyards, and they're charging more than what they are brand new. So there's some things that dealers could do and offer some better
sort of finding.
You got to know. You got to know what you're really doing there. Yeah.
It's interesting because cars last so much longer today that the parts support for that hasn't followed along with it, right? I mean, certainly the engine parts are all still available, but accessories and other pieces, interior pieces, there's not I'm sure that your F350 that there's a spot, a hole in the seat where your ass comes in and out. Because
there's a tear on the side from getting in and out of it. Yep.
There isn't and so why aren't we selling that piece, right? And so we all buy these crappy covers and put them on our 5-year-old plus trucks, because the truck seat is a little higher than you, and so you rub it when you go in and rub it when you go out, and eventually it tears.
Yeah.
Great point.
Steering wheel, Yep. And I wish it was easier to replace the steering wheel and not have to go through all the hell of the airbag and whatnot, but I'd be all over that.
You're right. I mean, with cars lasting longer, it's almost like the cars mechanically are now outlasting the interiors.
Yeah.
Yep. By a bunch. Yeah. By a bunch.
Yeah. The diesel scene, this takes some passion to get into, but the diesel world, like those vehicles go forever. And Jeff, you've got Mercedes diesels that are, bulletproof. Mm-hmm. And so you've got like a GL 350, for example, where the suspension is going to give out. That's just part of what 350s do, right? But
especially if it's got the
air suspension. Yeah, it's like any car with air suspension is going to kick their suspension. So yeah, like that kind of stuff, and every GL 350 owner is going to have to go get that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody's thinking about how they can take advantage of that. Because I can tell you nobody is, because I'm looking for that too.
It might be, maybe there's a little business, a niche business. Maybe there's a millennial out there who wants to go to one of those junkyards where you pick your own parts, right? Because then they're always super cheap. And they want to just sort of, stock those things, right? Why not? They could probably create a list of the most wanted things and then be able to get out there and, with their wrenches and whatever.
I don't know. I'm thinking of
wrenches first. So
as soon as you said new business, my head went to diesel refresh, but
yeah, I mean, those engines they'll go for 500,000 miles. They'll go forever. So, by the way, guys, I had a visitor come into the room.
Do we have a guest appearance?
We do.
The Mosley pillow.
Yeah, hold your hand up, Jeff.
Yeah, you're wearing him out with that, aren't you?
I've been very nice so far with my Saturdays with Corey. I
don't even want to know what that entails.
Well, no, you don't see the Saturdays with Corey posts on the Facebook.
Oh no, I do. Yep, I do.
Okay, so they'll be.
I see what you write about, but
every Saturday we have a Saturdays with Corey, and Corey goes somewhere. Usually still just in the house, but last week or the week before we took a road trip into Oregon, which is next door.
I saw that photo.
Yeah.
Do you allow the cat to lay on Corey?
Yeah, the cat. Sometimes I'll catch the cat because Corey sits actually the Corey pillow sits in my little annex office back here on a kind of a semi couch, and so sometimes the cat will be curled up next to him. Last Saturday, I went to go grab the Corey pillow for a quick photo, and my wife's golden doodle was already laying next to Corey, so I just took that picture and used it. So that was our Saturdays with Corey last week. Yeah.
I'm sure he loves you for it.
So hold on, Steve. We've got Saturdays with Corey. We've got Ag Click Friday. What do you do on Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday?
I haven't done Ad Click Friday in a long time, but let's just remind everybody very quickly, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing the other days. When you get free stuff on the web, do the person a favor who put that free stuff up there and click on their ads. Who cares if you buy anything? Right. That's how they make money. DealerRefresh, AskTheManager.com, SteveStauning.com with my free videos, but not just that. Like I use I think I talked about it before, a PDF merge tool online where I'll merge, different PDFs together to make one document, and I click on their ads when I use it because, that's the only way they make money. So Ad Click Friday is today. Hashtag Ad Click Friday.
For sure.
Head to DealerRefresh. Click away.
Click away. Go to DealerRefresh. Start today. Learn how to click on ads on DealerRefresh. But so what I've been doing since.
And if you click the Frickin' Tech one, submit a lead, please.
Yes, please do. Buy some Frickin' Tech.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So there's 212 annoying business phrases in this book. Book is $18 on Amazon. Go buy it if you want. You can see it's a really thick book, over 400 pages. But you don't have to buy it if you're so inclined to just wait every day. For the first 212 days this year, I am posting one annoying business phrase from the book. So today we did phrase 15 of 212. I'm just going alphabetically, and we'll be done July 31st.
Still have a while to go.
Yeah, July 31st. 212 days is July 31st. So, but anyway, we'll get all those done, and then I've got I think 111 new phrases for the second book already. So there's a lot of annoying phrases that we use in business. My goal is to get a total of 365 so that I can do a calendar, a daily calendar.
There you go.
Because 10 people in America still have a calendar.
You're an entrepreneur like no other, Steve.
If only some of these things would make money.
What are some of the ones you've shared already?
So today was back to square one, so I can get the.
I like the image for that one. Now, did you do all the cartoon work, or did you outsource that?
No, so my son and I, my oldest son Carson and I did this book, and we wrote the cartoon itself, but we hired a local Spokane artist. She's just up and coming, and we hired her to take what we said and make it into a drawing. But we already had the captions, we already had the scene that we wanted, and she did a good job. She, it takes a lot to draw 212 and not have them all look exactly the same. So
yeah,
she got it back fairly quick work. And the concept was something we did that I did in Shit Sandwich, The same thing, only it was only 83 cartoons, but unfortunately that cartoonist passed away. He was also a Spokane artist, and he was going to do the 30,000 pound gorilla illustrations, but he passed away. So we found someone else. But he was a good guy, Scott, and this woman she was great. It's great to work with.
Well, first off, how are the book sales? Because I'm always curious about that, and love to hear some of your more favorite annoying business phrases. And now that's not automotive exclusive. That's just across the board, right?
Oh, yeah, it really is just across the board. One of the book sales, Shit Sandwich made a lot of money, relatively speaking. I sold more than a couple thousand copies of that through Amazon, and then Assumptive Selling, because it's so expensive, Assumptive Selling has made a lot of money for them. I say a lot, relatively speaking. But most of those sales have been bulk sales that dealers have reached out to me. They want 50 books, and so I'll send them author copies. Basically, it costs me a lot less, costs them a lot less, but still makes me the same amount of money. 30,000 pound gorilla has not broken even yet, and probably won't because we paid for the cover illustration and we paid for the illustrations inside. But that's okay. It was a fun book to do. Yeah. And Ridiculously Simple Sales Management is such a thin book that
I didn't know you had that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I'll send you guys
that.
This.
That may be your only book I don't have.
So this, I think I released this in September. I'll send you guys copies. I'll make a note. It really is ridiculously simple. I mean, it's 100 and something pages and 24 short chapters. Each chapter has key learnings, chapter exercise, but it's mostly written for automotive, but it's not just automotive. And the idea is that it came to me when I did a blog post called We're Way Beyond Sink or Swim, where we were still, most dealers were still hiring a bunch of salespeople, throwing them into the pool, into the deep end, and those that swam to the top, they were cut out for automotive, right? And those that didn't, they just weren't. And we're way beyond that. You can't have a cattle call and get 25 decent millennials to show up and want to stay with you. So the idea for Ridiculously Simple Sales Management is let's make it fun to be on your sales team. Let's make it so that I want to succeed because I want my manager to succeed. And it really is just 24 lessons that help them drive activities, but drive activities in a way that makes people want to come to work every day, that makes people want to work for you, that makes people want to be successful. There are some great salespeople. Christine's comment. There are some great salespeople out there that become mediocre because they're not driven by their managers enough, and that's tragic because a guy might be doing 18 a month and he could do 38 a month if his manager would just drive those activities and keep that salesperson or salesman or saleswoman focused. So that's what this book is about. It's the business has changed, and the salespeople are still have challenges, but they've got to work. They can't just sit around the vaping circle all day or surf on Facebook.
Well, I'm surprised you came up with that many, especially in the automotive side, because every time I speak to a GM or a sales manager, it's always change the pay plan. If we want to encourage our salespeople, if we want change, we just change the pay plan.
Well,
so
the problem is
the last thing you need to do.
Yeah, and of course it's never, if it is changed and it does drive higher sales, then we change it back because we're paying out too much, right? Comp is out of whack. And then people leave. The problem with, great pay plans is that the kid who can live on 12 units a month only does 12 units a month. And that's, and he could do 30 if he had the proper motivation. And the rah-rah speech in the morning that's not followed up throughout the day with reinforcements is worthless. The bitch session on Saturday mornings has always been worthless, right? I think Frank Lopes talks about it a lot, but you can't scream at me for 30 minutes from 8:30 to 9 and then expect me to, turn on the charm at 9 o'clock when the ups start coming in. So.
Agreed.
Anyway.
Although you'll probably handle your next phone call like a champ. they played the recording.
Oh, true. So I'm not against, playing the funniest call of the week, right? Is what I call it, right? So you play a great call and play the funniest one. Everybody has a good laugh, but any competitive salesperson doesn't want to be the call they play next week unless it's the great call. So.
Yeah.
So you mentioned sink or swim, and of course that's typically how we approach it in the automotive side when it comes to hiring people. Is that one of the more annoying phrases in the Gorilla book?
No, it's not in this book. It's not but it is in the second one. So sink or swim is in the second one. Let me make sure, because I start to confuse them. Yeah, sink or swim is not, but
let's get a few other annoying phrases.
So as I was looking at sink or swim, my eyes went to smell test. So that was always one.
Does that
we got to give it the smell test, right?
Smell test.
It's a terrible. They're all terrible. Obviously, the champion is think outside the box, right? I mean, people say that all the time. One that we've already done this year in the daily one that we're doing, analysis paralysis. I've always loved,
that's my favorite.
Hated that. And I've loved and hated it because the people who say analysis, they accuse someone else of suffering from analysis paralysis. And frankly, they're the ones who can't make a decision, right? And it's true with a lot of these. The ones that have negative connotations, it's funny, the users of those are usually the ones that suffer from it the most. A couple days ago was ASAP. And ASAP is annoying in a lot of ways.
Get it done ASAP.
Yes, but it's really annoying when they say get it done ASAP, right? Because I'm trying to emphasize that it's faster than ASAP. I need it ASAP.
I needed it yesterday.
Hang on, let me add that.
Yeah.
And Christine wants to know if we can submit phrases. So fire away in the comments.
Well, I want it. When it comes down, at the end of the day, that's always my favorite one.
The worst thing about it at the end of the day is that it's never 5 o'clock. All right? It means something has concluded. So at the end of the day, you mean 3 weeks from now? Right? Hate at the end of the day. Anyway, So by the way,
each one of these phrases you've turned in, I guess, is it copied over from the book? Are you adding additional commentary? But it's a post every single day on askthemanager.com. And then, of course, you're posting that over on your Facebook page as well.
Yeah, so it's every day. I'm doing one a day through July 31st. It's right out of the book. So if someone doesn't want to drop $18 on the book, they don't have to. They can still read them all. I will tell you the feedback, even though this will never break even, the feedback we've gotten on it is great. People who still go to offices will have a copy in the office, and when someone says something annoying, they'll run to it and they'll read it, right? Like, hey, you just said cross the I's and dot the T's, right? Or cross the T's and dot the I's. You said bring your A game, right? Something like that. So,
and then you also provide a replacement phrase for all these wonderful phrases, right?
I do. Yeah, so the whole book came about because I had done a blog post in 2008 called the 25 most annoying phrases in business. And I didn't feel it was right to say this is annoying, but not say what you should say instead. So I felt like you can bitch all day long, but it's gotta be about solutions. And so I gave solutions in here as well. So Blue Ocean Thinking, thank you, Christine. And by the way, Paul Rudd and Role Models, I don't know when that was released, but remember, I did this in 2008, Christine, so I think I did beat him to ASAP. Maybe he stole it from me.
There's two words that need to also leave our vernacular and be used the proper way. One is tragic, and the other is epic. So somebody with I've got a little English degree, and those particular words are way overused for the wrong things. So tragic, for example, is when somebody of greatness has lost their life in unexpected manner. So when you talk about Shakespeare, those are tragedies. It's somebody who has performed a great deed. So if I died tomorrow, that would not be tragic. I am not of greatness.
Well, that may be of opinion. Maybe it would be tragic to me.
Nah. Am I great to you, Jeff?
Okay. You are.
And then the epic is, you save that for like the Trojan War. What Odysseus did,
I have Awesome was already in the second book, but now I've added epic and tragic. I've also added snafu. Thank you, Alan. By the way, we'll talk about snafu in a minute, but slow to change, fast to follow. Thank you for that, Jim. So, gosh, we're going to have it up to 365 words before the end of this thing today. So,
yeah, you're going to have a third edition.
And I'm definitely about to reach through the camera and slap Christine. It's not how you use those words, Christine.
Yeah.
Is it? So
although that is pretty funny.
Let me try a different camera angle here.
Yeah.
Because it is a regular webcam. Yeah. Is that better? It's showing too much of my manly chest now. All right.
By the way, nice T-shirt, Steve.
I was going to say the same.
Nice T-shirt.
Yeah, thank you. USMC. I was going to wear my Cobra Kai T-shirt, but I actually I sent it to Goodwill, believe it or not, because I bought it before the series ever came out. It was one of those kind of funny shirts that you wear. Like I have I like shirts from movies that talk, that aren't flat out right Hawaii 5-0, but rather something that only insiders would get. So I have one, Captain Quint's shark something or other, right from Jaws, and then I love my Cobra Kai one, but once Cobra Kai came out, I couldn't wear it because it didn't have any.
You love that show. It's your favorite.
Too obvious. I will say, make no mistake.
But you've watched every episode.
And I will watch every episode.
Every time you're done, you get on Facebook and you bitch about how bad it is.
No. You see, you're confusing things by saying I bitch about it. It is one of the dumbest shows of all time. And yet, I will watch the next season as well. I can be fair, right? And no Baby Yoda shirts. I can be fair. It's popcorn TV.
It's
for sure.
bad, but it's fun.
And the plot twists,
especially
plot twists
whenever
22 minutes. So,
dude, when Daniel-san goes back over to Okinawa, and they bring back his girlfriend from back in the day, that was it brought a tear to my eye.
Of course, yes, it's beautiful. But yeah, so
you should write some type of Cobra Kai analogy book to the automotive industry.
Yeah, I would, except I think this is going to be short-lived. I think they're gonna run out of plot lines, right? They already brought Allie back. Sorry, spoiler
I didn't see
alert.
that. Thanks for the spoiler.
Yeah, okay. They brought her back, and of course, she's the only one who still looks exactly like she did in the show. Daniel's pretty close. I mean, he's got a baby face for sure, but anyway.
Well, I don't know. Johnny's sensei, he still looks the same, man.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, he was pretty weathered back then. He was probably only 25. Then. He was just one of those old school.
55.
Yeah. I'm watching Bosch right now, and we'll get into automotive in just a second.
Yeah, we're going to come back to a question from Andy Warner from way earlier. Andy, if you're still with us, throw a comment out there.
Did he notice I got a bit of a mullet? Yeah. But I'm watching Bosch on Amazon Prime right now. It's pretty good. And his character served in the Vietnam War. And then I just found out that the actor himself was 58. So he was, 10 when the Vietnam War ended. So talk about old souls. The guy playing.
Yeah, couldn't get into that one.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. The first episode lays out so much that if you pay attention to that, you'll enjoy the rest. If you don't, you'll be lost the whole time. Anyway, if we're ready to go back into automotive, unless we want to address Andy Warner's 40 question.
Yeah, let me Let me put his question back up there, and he says he's still here. So he wants to know, would a Flowbee business be appropriate for car salespeople in 2021?
That's a tough one. Flowbees, back in the Marine Corps, we actually, I actually cut hair because you could make money, right? It was an easy haircut, right? It was like a Flowbee almost. You just took a razor to the sides and then put a guard on into the top and gave everybody high and tight. Flowbees, for those of you who don't know, it's a hair cutting device that you attach to a vacuum cleaner, literally, and you just run it through your hair, and it cuts it all to the same length. And I think those could come back because we want these touchless experiences, right? With our barber, world of COVID. Who knows?
Does hair transmit COVID? I hear it does only after 8 p.m. actually.
Yeah, that's true. But also the touching, maybe. I don't know. I truly don't know what transmits it because, frankly, now we're going to get in politics, but frankly, places that have had pretty good lockdowns are having pretty big spikes. So anyway.
Yeah.
Automotive now.
Yes.
Talk about the Harris poll that.
You sent me a link the other day. I was checking it out. It was an article. I think what was it? Urban Science had done a little data dump, small survey. Maybe it was a large survey. I think it was just around consumers and how they're feeling about visiting dealerships during the pandemic and all that good stuff. What did you get out of it? And I also thought the top considerations when choosing a dealership to buy a used car from, it looks as if price is double.
Yeah. Any other? Yeah. So a couple of things. Yeah. So Harris poll with Urban Science has been doing this throughout COVID, and they show some date data in there where they looked at. They asked people, how comfortable they were going into car dealerships, and the number was low in the middle of COVID, but it's jumped to 64% in their last survey, which was in October, at the end of October. The biggest thing was, the part when you get to where it says it's priced for big cities, more than half of adults, 56% agree now is a great time to purchase. And then it's funny, it says, but only 27% say they intend to do within the next year. And in my copy of the survey, I underlined only 27% are going to do it the next year. If we can get 27% of adults, right below that is the surprise for big cities. If we can get 27% of adults to buy in the next year, oh my gosh, right? That's fantastic.
That's a strong percentage.
But the biggest thing for me was what I already was seeing in my dealerships. We're hearing about everybody's going to buy online. Everybody's buying online. That's the future. And the stock price of Carvana's made them a $50 billion market cap company, bigger than CarMax, AutoNation, Penske, Groupon, Lithia, Asbury, and Sonic combined. And let me let that sink in for a second. Honest market cap is bigger than all of those combined. Because everyone is convinced that it's the way to buy cars. And certainly, sight unseen, there are cars being bought sight unseen, absolutely. And but omni-channel, which I think we talked about last time, months ago, is the future. Being able to do what CarMax does, what most stores do, which is to offer at-home delivery, at-home test drives. You'll come on in, kick some tires, and walk on the lot. I wrote it this way years ago, but T-Rex likes to hunt and want to be fed, right? And that's the thing with car shopping. There is an excitement in car shopping, even if you don't like the dealership experience overall. There is some excitement in window shopping and walking car to car and looking at things.
For sure.
And the screen we're on right now.
That's when you got to do the smell test.
So this last slide that you're showing is huge for dealers who are struggling with digital retail, and that is understand 87% still want a test drive, right? I mean that's a big number. And
well,
we want to have.
Can I pipe in on that one though, Steve?
Yeah.
So Like dealers aren't struggling with digital retailing because consumers are okay to walk into the dealership. They're struggling with digital retailing because the technology sucks.
It's a part of it. It's also their process sucks. So, and I don't mean all dealers, but
and I'm being a little too brash with that statement, but you're sticking the buy now button too high in the purchase funnel, and the consumers aren't ready.
So they do want to do, as you know from that study, and we know from other studies, they do want to do a lot of steps in advance. The biggest thing for me in this study is that those physical dealerships, which I already knew, but those physical dealerships, they're not going away anytime soon. But you're right. One thing, the buy now button, the dealers who still do it that way, where it's buy now versus calculate real payments or value your trade, that takes them into the tool. They're missing out because the consumer, even if they complete the entire process, they still need help. And I heard this from an insider at Carvana, but that 75% of their deals require a sales concierge, whatever they're called it over there, but a BDC agent basically walking through, and that's the process. Online.
What was that percentage again, Steve? Your audio is bouncing in and out a bit.
Sorry, it was about 75%. About 3/4 of consumers don't just buy it like they buy a book on Amazon, where they click submit and then they wait around for the delivery. There's a human involved in that, and I don't know the reliability of that data. It sounds about right to me, so I like saying it, but I don't have the data points to prove it. It's just what I've been told by a reliable source.
Sounds about right.
So that's interesting. Shoot, I hate to. Yeah, all right. I'm going to go here. I'm going to toot my company's own horn for a minute, but it's in relation to the Carvana data. So, you're saying that you heard that they touch 75% of obviously the leads that come to them, because that's how you initiate.
Of the sold units, of the people who buy. They need a human on the phone to walk them through part of it. That's what I'm talking about. It's not
fully digital.
When was the last time you talked to somebody at Amazon, right? Never. And so that's the point I was making.
Gotcha. There's the number there, though, is an interesting coincidence. So we are finding that we can connect with that percentage of the dealer's internet leads, and that turns into a phone call most of the time.
Yep.
So 75% of the leads you're able to get through to that customer in a physical manner.
Yep. Strike up a conversation. Yep.
Yeah, we've got plenty of dealers at 75% connection. We call it connection rate. And Chris Leslie's point about digital retailing starting in store is absolutely right. It is like I said, it's omni-channel. It's having the same experience in store that I have online, and vice versa, and starting in one and ending in the other. It doesn't matter which one I start at, which one I end at, but having it be seamless. The dealers who have embraced the iPads with the digital retailing tool on it, have been able to shorten the road to the sale, have been able to hand the iPad to the customer, produce pieces of it. People start to sell themselves on things. We talked about the data around back-end profits, but when you let a customer do it yourself F&I, your back-end gross is better than average. They're not better than a trained F&I killer, but they are better than average. And since most dealers are below average, or half dealers are below average and half dealers are above average, for half the dealers out there, you can make more F&I profits by getting rid of F&I managers. Have an F&I clerk that dots the I's and crosses the T's, right? But hand that customer an iPad and let them learn about Gap and LoJack and extended warranty, and let them sell themselves on it.
Yeah, use it as an upsell device all day long.
And omni-channel is in the book, so there you go.
Yes. I do hate that term too.
Omni-channel.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a replacement phrase, right?
For replacement for omni-channel?
Yeah, it'll be in my second book, but
isn't it just retail? Like
no. it means all channels, like omnipotent, right? I mean, it's all powerful, omni-channel.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
channel.
that's just retail. You're going to talk to people where you're going to talk to people and where they come from.
I guess.
That,
If you come up with a replacement for omni-channel, Chris, send it my way. Because I'd like to stop using it as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've just heard it too often. It drives me nuts.
I know. And it's like AI, right? It's never used by people who are actually.
Was AI number one in your book?
In the second book, yes. AI is terrible because most people who say that their tool or their software is AI, it's not. It's a big decision tree. There's a difference. So It's not artificial intelligence. It's not learning. It's not Skynet becoming aware, right?
Right. You're just an if-then statement.
Yeah, that's it. And you wrote 3 of them, so now it's AI, right?
Ooh, no, when you add the else, that's when it becomes AI.
Ooh. The else. Oh.
Yep. Yeah. So anything else happening automotive-wise, Steve, that's really captured your interest of late?
It is interesting to me the dealers who still are struggling. And I don't mean their market is struggling. In markets that are struggling, most of the dealers are struggling, and then there's a few that are gaining share. But when we went into COVID, and we talked about this on one of the shows, when we first went into lockdowns, there were dealers whose teams froze and they didn't know what to do. And so when the lockdowns were lifted or restrictions relaxed, they didn't take advantage of the opportunities in front of them because they were frozen. They weren't constantly evolving. And one thing that dealers do really well, we can talk about dealers being behind the curve on this or that or whatever, and I'm really getting tired of that. Dealers are so behind on this or that. You know what? Dealers have survived some pretty deep recessions, and they evolve. And so we saw a lot of dealers evolve and have record April, record May, record June, record July, record August, September, October, November, December. And then we saw some that, their first record month wasn't until June or July, and then they finally started to get it. But I still see a few dealers today, not my clients, of course, but I still see a few dealers today that are struggling, that are, they're down, their December was down 20% last December. And when you look at the OEM numbers from the fourth quarter, it was not all OEMs were up, and that shocks me because I don't have a single dealer that didn't have a better fourth quarter this year, 2020 than they had in 2019.
Right.
And so dealers are still waiting for the up bust to show back up or something. I don't know. They haven't adapted. And again, it's a small percentage. I had to guess if I say 5%, 10% of dealers are really struggling to adapt to this still. And I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand.
You think that's just a people thing?
Always is, right?
Well, it always is. Yeah, jinx. Yeah, I mean, it's a management thing. One of the problems for sales managers in automotive, and it's not their fault, it's the fault of the way that the system was built years ago, and that is sales managers are reactive by nature. Like a finance manager, right? They're reactive. A service manager is reactive, or a service advisor. People come to them and then they act, right? And a desk manager is reactive. They don't do anything until someone brings them the deal to desk. Finance manager doesn't do anything until the deal moves into the box. And so for those dealers that are still struggling, they're the ones that are still reactive. They don't understand that they need to do something. They need to take an action to make things happen. And by the way, so Chris, Leslie, and I completely agree. It's funny to read where dealers are so behind, right? And I've been reading it, by the way, for 15 years, how behind dealers are. And they're just not. But you see it on the forums when people talk about Carvana and how traditional dealers are so stupid and so behind. They're all dinosaurs. They're all going to be gone. No, they're not. And the difference between Carvana and traditional dealers is traditional dealers make money on every used car they sell, every one, right? And they pay their bills. So there you go. Anyway.
Ooh, something new there on the not paying the bills front.
No. I'm sorry. When I meant pay the bills, I meant make enough money to pay the bills. I'm sure Carvana is paying all their bills. And they're billionaires. I don't want to take anything away from the guys that started Carvana. And I mean, they have done it. They have milked Wall Street, and it is a concept, online sales, that will be around for a very long time. And I'm not even saying Carvana is going to go out of business. They're just not worth $50 billion. I'm sorry. I mean, they're not worth all the public combined. They're just not.
Yeah, some of these valuations don't pass the smell test. So they're one of them for sure.
If you want
of course,
I like to say the say it out loud test. So,
I mean, Carvana doesn't do anything that any other dealership can't do, and the reality is, an actual OEM dealership can probably do it a lot better than CarMax or Carvana if they wanted to. I just took notice that CarMax has this all new. I think it's just nothing more than a marketing ploy. It's their new Love Your Car guarantee, 24-hour test drives, which I see that being, maybe it was another CarMax, but I saw another commercial around that wasn't CarMax. No, I think it was an OEM that was doing it there for a while.
And then they're doing the 30-day return as well.
Yeah, 30-day returns up to 1,500 miles.
So for everybody out there, if you don't have a pickup truck and you're going to be moving this weekend, go to CarMax, take a 24-hour test drive in a pickup truck, and borrow theirs.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, man, where can you still drive on the beach and get the 4-wheel drive?
And by the way, how's that work on a Saturday?
I know. Well, the CarMax lot is empty because everybody came in Friday afternoon for their 24-hour test drive.
Borrow a truck.
So to address Christine's Carvana, I like Carvana, but I know it's Carvana, and I don't know which way I said it.
Oh, Jeff says Rick, Carvana because he likes to.
Oh, he does.
To be a jerk about it, but for good reason.
West Virginia.
Because it's like Nirvana. No, it's like Nirvana. And then for Rick's question, I think, when we look at any of the groups that are true one price, like Walzer, I'm pretty sure they don't have desk managers anymore. So, the folks that have gotten rid of those, if there's nothing to desk, right, then you don't need a desk manager.
Well, there still is something to desk in a one price non-negotiable scenario, and that's the trade. So the trade's still negotiable.
Sure. True.
So you don't need a desk manager. You need a used car manager. Yeah.
There you go. You need somebody to put a number to things. That doesn't mean, by the way, when we say desk managers, they still have managers. They're just maybe floor managers or closers or something else. So
right.
Anyway, but I don't do any work with Walzer, so I'm taking a guess that Walzer doesn't have desk managers.
My family went one price, and they don't have your traditional desk monkeys anymore. But they still have
desk managers.
Oh, is that a Freudian slip? Sorry, desk manager. No, but yeah, it is. How you take in the trade.
Right. Yep. Indeed. Anything else, gentlemen? Did I pimp all my books enough? My most recent
believe
one?
so.
Easy to read.
I want that
guys,
one.
By the way.
I don't have a copy of that one.
This is on the Kindle. Yeah, I'm going to send each of you guys one of those.
I don't think we saw Assumptive Selling or Shit Sandwich. You didn't hold those two up.
I've got the.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jeff got it. That's right.
Yeah, and here's Shit Sandwich, the one that started it all. So this.
I made my son read that.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my favorite one.
It should be in middle school. Jeff, would you say required reading in middle school? Shit Sandwich.
Yeah. Yep, middle to high school. Yeah.
You got to learn.
It's good. Just life lessons.
Yep.
Life is a shit sandwich, especially right now.
Yep. And those people willing to eat shit sandwiches or make lemonade out of lemons, those people will get ahead. So, anyway.
Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure having you on, man.
It's always my pleasure, and I'm happy to be on anytime. So even if I'm the second person you have in 20 2021 instead of the first. So no offense.
I think I offered you the first. You passed on that one.
Yeah, I had a busy Friday last week. So anyway,
well, before we let you go, yeah, absolutely, man. Well, one of my goals is maybe have you more often in 2021. What do you see happening in 2021? Do you have any personal goals? Any milestones that you're looking to hit in 2021? Survive it.
So I'm actually writing my first fiction novel with my middle son Connor, and that's going to be a kind of a thriller sort of thing, not a slasher thriller, but kind of a mystery thriller thing. So I'm doing that, which is kind of fun. But the biggest thing I think for everybody in 2021, and if you didn't learn it in 2020, you'll probably never learn it. But that is, we've just got to adapt. We've got to constantly adapt. People who get stuck in a rut are going to get run over, and that goes for dealers, it goes for vendors, it goes for whoever. Everything is changing, and we might not get back to any new normal. Which, by the way, new normal is in the next book. We may not get back to a true new normal for another year. Where now things are going to be fairly steady for 18, 24 months, something like that. So that's the biggest thing.
We'll see what the next few days before the next Refresh Friday brings.
Indeed, yeah. Everything will change by then.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Steve. Always a pleasure, man. We appreciate
it. Always
you.
My pleasure, guys. Always my pleasure. Thanks for letting me pimp my books and giving me, it looks like, 10 new words for my second 30,000-pound gorilla book. So appreciate your time, guys.
All right, man. You got it.
Thank you, Steve.